Jay-Z, Beanie Sigel was the shit.
Yeah, he was fired.
And they would only let Beanie Sigel only sell so many records. This came from an executive. But Benny, they would you couldn't be bigger than Jay-Z on Jay-Z's label.
I'd done so much to fight for him. You know, it was like, what more can I do? So I just felt like I can't be arguing. I don't care how many records you sell. And that was before that was like when he first got hot. I was more bothered when Beans chose to go with Jay. That one hurt.
Beanie Sigel was the shit.
Yeah, he was fired.
And they would only let Beanie Sigel only sell so many records. This came from an executive.
I don't hate Jay. That ain't what this about. I don't hate him, but damn, dog, that's how you feel. I feel as though you owe me a conversation. That's it. You too big to talk to me? You ate my mom oxtails. You know what I mean? You too big to talk to me, yo? I feel as though I deserve that conversation, yo.
So Beanie Sigel is finally addressing those long-standing rumors that Jay-Z sabotaged his career out of jealousy. Meanwhile, Dame Dash also joined the chat and said that he was hurt when Beanie picked Jay over him after the fallout of Roc-A-Fella Records. According to Dame, Beanie made a huge mistake by choosing Jay-Z because Jay has never been loyal to anyone but his own pockets. Dame even said that he had big plans to turn Beanie into the next Jay, but Beanie was too loyal to Jay to see the truth. Now, if you know your hip-hop history, you already know Beanie and Jay go way back to the Roc-A-Fella days. Beanie was one of the hardest rappers on the label, holding it down for the streets with classics like The Truth and Feel It in the Air. But despite being one of the most respected lyricists in the game, Beanie never got the mainstream success that many felt he deserved. And now Beanie is finally setting the record straight on if Jay had a hand in that. So did Jay really sabotage Beanie's career? And why did Beanie pick Jay over Dame? Let's get into it.
Understood that every single album that I dropped, Jay dropped right on top of me. And it was like, damn, like to have in-house competition at that magnitude was crazy. Jay already the boss, but I always thought that, like, let me breathe.
Beanie Sigel is finally firing back at Dame Dash's recent claims that Jay-Z sabotaged his career and messed up his life after the Roc-A-Fella breakup. About a month ago, Dame aired Jay out on The Art of Dialogue, accusing him of straight up tricking Beanie into getting shelved and completely throwing his career off track. According to Dame, Beanie was supposed to be the future of Roc-A-Fella, the one to keep the label's legacy alive. But Beanie was too loyal to Jay, thinking Hov would ride for him the same way.
More bothered when Beans chose to go with Jay. That one hurt. Because I'd done a lot and prepared. I chose State Property over Rockware. And I wanted to just roll out with State Property. But it almost like he tricked Beans to shelf him and his life up to me doing that. But I had him. You know what I mean? Like, that was my new Jay.
So you feel like if Beans would have went with Shu instead of Jay, his career would have been bigger?
What? It's not even a good. This guy had planned for them. He f***ed his own self up for that one. Like, I had the movies, right? I had the clothing line. The clothing line was doing 20 million a year. You know, so we had the movies, the touring, the clothing line. You gotta remember, like, I activated all of those things. You know, like, I was making beans when I was talking to Cam about being the vice president, talking to him. I was also talking to Beans. I was making both of them vice presidents because they had labels. I was the one that was strategically growing and planting seeds, to grow their businesses, whether they knew it or not. Whether they knew it was in their best interest or not, I was still doing it.
And now Beanie is finally speaking out on the situation. And he claims he didn't understand why Dame said he was hurt by Beanie choosing Jay. According to Beanie, he had no idea Dame had all these big plans for him because Dame never actually told him. But if you read between the lines, it sounds like Beanie knows he messed up by not seeing the bigger picture. It's like there's a hint of regret in his words. Like he's realizing he may have taken Dame for granted and put his trust in the wrong person.
Yeah, I saw that clip. I really didn't understand it. Because I didn't make a choice. I didn't choose between Jay or Dame. I just stayed neutral in that situation, and I voiced that numerous of times. Dame actually came and got me when I got out of prison. And we was on a tour bus and they was interviewing me. And they asked me then and there on a bus. Now I'm just getting out of prison. Like he at the jail picked me up. And they posed that question that I was, or made the statement that I was going to be with Dame Dash Music Group. And I said then that I didn't want to make that choice between Jay or them. I just wanted to stay neutral. James said he had a lot of plans. He had a lot, that he was going to do, but I never got those conversations. So it's hard for me to, agree with that because, if you had all those things that you said in place and that you was going to do and you wanted to do, it wasn't relayed to me. Like I know if I got something for somebody, I'm be like, look, this what we gonna do. I got this lined up. I got this set up. After we do this, we gonna do this. We gonna do that. But I never got that conversation. So, and maybe he did have all those things, but he didn't share them with me.
When it comes to Jay-Z, Beanie hinted that something shady was going on behind the scenes and pointed out how Jay would always drop his albums right around the same time as his, making sure Beanie never got the full spotlight. Not to mention, there were reportedly limits on how many records he could sell, almost like someone was capping his success on purpose. Now, Beanie did take some accountability for his own mistakes, and he even said that he doesn't want to believe that Jay really played him like that. But if you listen closely, you can tell that he still has doubts, and he admitted that maybe Dame knows more about what was going on behind the scenes than him.
I don't think one man could destroy another man's life. It's ultimately in your own decisions. I had a lot of issues. Like I said, legal issues at the time. And, my mind wasn't where I'm at now today. Like I used to have questions like why every time my album dropped, Jay would drop right on top of me. He wouldn't let me breathe or right before me. Like I was always close, and I never understood that every single album that I dropped, Jay dropped right on top of me. And it was like, damn, like to have in-house competition at that magnitude was crazy. Jay already the boss, but I always thought that like, let me breathe. But to maliciously plot to hold me back. I don't know, man. I don't believe that. I don't want to believe that. But like I said, Dame would know better than me.
Why you say that?
Because he part of making them executive decisions. He a boss just like Jay was a boss. He was a part of that. He had to be a part of those decisions. So, Dame would know better than me.
For those who might not know Beanie Sigel's story, back when Roc-A-Fella Records was running the rap game in the late 90s and early 2000s, Beanie brought that raw street energy the label needed. Jay-Z recognized the talent and signed him in 99, immediately putting him in the spotlight. Beanie dropped his debut album, The Truth, in 2000, and it was a major success, earning him his spot in the rap world. But Beanie wasn't just another artist on the label. He was made to feel like family, or at least that's what Jay had him thinking.
Roc-A-Fella Records was the only thing that I've ever been a part of that I thought was honest.
This is dope. This is ill. Yeah.
Like, really me for what it was. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm from South Philly, so, niggas smile, hey, pray next to you, turn around, blow your head off. Like,
you said smile, shake your hand, pray next to you, and blow your head off.
Yeah, all that vicious. That's where I come from.
Yeah.
You wash your body.
Just pray.
Your son will fornicate with your daughter. Yeah, that's where I come from. That's the world that I lived in. So me being with Roc-A-Fella, the La Familia, I held on to that. It's like I got something, and and it's like these got me. And they don't want from me. They just want me to do this. This music. They got me. And that's all I asked. You got me. That's where I came from. I never looked at me having a career. I never looked at the business. It was La Familia, La Familia, La Familia. We a family.
Back in the early 2000s, Beanie Sigel wasn't just another artist on Roc-A-Fella. He was one of the biggest names on the label. He wasn't just making music, he was expanding the brand, launching the State Property clothing line, and even starring in the State Property movies. But by the mid-2000s, everything started shifting. By 2004, Roc-A-Fella was falling apart. Jay-Z and Dame Dash were locked in a power struggle over the label's future, and Beanie was caught in the crossfire. He was loyal to both, but when Jay took over Roc-A-Fella under his new Def Jam deal, it became clear that Beanie was no longer a priority. And this is where the betrayal starts to feel personal. That same year, Beanie got hit with federal charges and was facing some real prison time. But instead of having his back, Jay seemed to distance himself. When Beanie got locked up, he expected his Roc-A-Fella family, especially Jay-Z, to hold him down. But instead, it was nothing but crickets. Beanie later admitted in interviews that he felt completely abandoned by Jay.
You got me. So at that time, when, I'm going to court, and we about to be on tour. We on tour. So
A whole nother tour.
Yeah, we on a whole nother tour. So, I'm going for my bail hearing in the feds. And the judge asked Jay, everybody's saying all these good things and all that. The character witnesses, Dame, and everybody's saying, and even Jay said a whole lot of good things about me, and the judge was gonna let me go. Monitor. And she said, would you be willing, and that's the part that people don't have, would you be willing to be responsible for his whereabouts, not be responsible for my actions, just his whereabouts? Would you be willing to do that? Provide us with all the information, saying that he's going to be here, there. And after all that good shit, and he said no. But it was like the way he said it, and he put his head down, he was like, no, I've never been crushed like that ever in my life. Cause I'm like, damn, this is my man, like how. And I looked at it like, all right, no. Nigga, what if I had to get the out of there? I'm in jail, I'm stood tall, all my. But what if I really needed to go? This was going to my mind. Like,
get out of jail, you say?
Like, yeah, like, bro, I had attempted in the state and the federal charge and all this shit. The 40 years is over. This is what I'm facing, 40 years.
Right.
What if in my mind, I'm thinking like, damn, what if I really need the road? Be on a run and go. Like, I'm from like, this is my man and I love him. If he skipped that, nigga, no, I'm getting my man, I'm getting him out by any means necessary. So for me to look him in his eyes and I'm shackled around the wrist, ankles and everything, and the man was like, no. Like that was that I don't know, like that was up. It took everything in me not to like let him go. Like that took away a lot of shit that I thought that we had.
Right.
Like that's big bro.
Meanwhile, Dame Dash was the only one who really showed up. He was there for Beanie every day during his trial, standing by his side and making it clear that he had his back.
We drove up here at 5 in the morning, caught a flat.
We caught a flat in Dame's van on the turnpike. We gotta wait for the spare to come.
We're running a little late. And I gotta get suited up, booted up. And he is our brother, so we will be there to support him. Because at the Rock, we are a family.
While Beanie was caught up in the legal battles, Jay-Z was focused on himself, dropping the Black Album and announcing his so-called retirement, only to switch it up and come back shortly after. By 2005, Roc-A-Fella wasn't the dynasty it once was. Jay took over as president of Def Jam, while Dame Dash and Biggs moved on to other ventures. Meanwhile, Beanie was left in limbo. That same year, he dropped his third album, The Becoming, an undeniable classic that he recorded while fighting his case. But despite how strong the project was, it never got the push it deserved. Why? Because Jay, now running Roc-A-Fella, wasn't prioritizing Beanie's career. Beanie later suggested in interviews that he was being pushed to the side, and he even revealed that Jay blocked him from exploring other opportunities, keeping him locked into Roc-A-Fella but refusing to actually invest in his future. By 2009, all that built-up tension finally boiled over when Beanie dropped What You Talking About, a straight-up diss track aimed right at Jay-Z. Beanie didn't bite his tongue at all, calling Jay out for being disloyal and only looking out for himself.
Did Jay really call up them people? Just need to know to add them to the infested extermination list.
Listen, before I even got there to the building, you gotta understand this. It's all documented. This year's Powerhouse, Jay came last year. In the Philadelphia Daily News, the day after the Powerhouse, it had an article. And I didn't even go to the Powerhouse last year. It had an article in it. Inside sources say Jay-Z beefs up security and threat that retaliation from Beanie Sigel for dropping him from the label.
This was in the newspaper.
It's in the paper. It's public record. Go. It's $20. You can search it and find it. It's public record. That was last year. So when I'm reading this, like, damn. You know what I mean? Inside sources say.
Right.
Where that come from? I ain't never see the Powerhouse where they got boot cops walking around with K9s and all that. Go on the internet, Google it. Bernard Hopkins was there. I didn't even know Bernard was there.
Right.
Go to allhiphop.com. He confirms it.
So there you are, just like the song says.
Yeah, because what happened was, I stood right in the, and because they made sweeps. When I came in the building, and people was going in the back and all that, where the dressing rooms was at, we was standing in the back, me and my peoples or whatever. Bleak come out with 5 bodyguards. What's up, C? No, what's going on? Damn, what's up? What you doing? Who back there, Jay? Come on, let's go back there. And you keep on moving the conversation, and you don't want to go back there. Your bodyguard's there, and I don't got no, you know what I mean, to pass. He was like, man, you need to come holler at the big hunk. Man, dude, don't f with me. I ain't going back there. And that's what I told him. Big homie, don't f with me.
Now, when Jay finally addressed the situation, he brushed it off like it was nothing and made it seem like Beanie was just refusing to own up to his own mistakes. Instead of acknowledging Beanie's claims, Jay basically acted like the whole thing was on Beans and not on him.
Well, Beanie Sigel is complaining a lot these days.
Well, he has a lot to complain about. I know. Not me.
Well, actually, this morning I just got a brand new interview. It's half an hour long, and he's talking basically about you, about the company, about basically how you didn't push him as much as, let's say, 50 Cent pushed some of his boys. How do you feel about that?
Well, Beanie Sigel at the time, and you can look it up if you like, just to be honest, was driving 2 Bentleys. I don't know how. It's impossible to drive 2 cars at one time. With his mama in the sticks and selling 800,000 records, I don't know what more can you do for somebody, at that point. What people choose to do when they attain that type of a success, at some point you have to look in the mirror and look at yourself. Beanie Sigel had a record deal, a record label, and a clothing line. I mean, it never went platinum, ever. I don't know, in the history of rap, has anyone done so much with so little? So I don't even know what more can you do for a person at that point. A record label, a record deal, that's normal. A record label and a clothing line. So if that's not pushing the person, I mean,
And while it's true that Beanie made some questionable choices and didn't take accountability until years later, it's also true that Beanie wasn't the only one who felt betrayed by Jay. Over the years, we've heard similar stories from other former Roc-A-Fella artists and affiliates. Big L, Emil, DMX, Kanye, they've all shared their own tales of how Jay switched up on them when it suited him. DMX even claimed that Jay sabotaged his 6th album because he was worried about competition when he decided to come out of retirement.
Okay, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition. Because at first you retire, then get me off the label, Now you back rapping again. Okay.
Jay even flipped on Kanye despite claiming that they were like brothers for years. And Kanye later suggested that Jay might have had people out to get him. And then there's 50 Cent, who exposed how Jay tried to block him from performing at the 2022 Super Bowl by flexing his NFL connections.
Look, Jay-Z and them was putting it together. So I think they still harbor some energy towards me.
You think you were purposely left out of the ad?
No. I don't think. I think that they were saying the NFL has some issues with me that I don't know what those issues are. Like, what is the issue? You start looking at that's not mine. That's theirs. They harbor it, right? But when you look at M is looking at the entire legacy.
Yeah.
The whole thing, like with M, Dre, and myself, like I'm a shady aftermath. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's so much G-Unit Records.
Right.
They forget that I'm M and Dre's artist.
By the way, 50 recently dropped some more tea on Cameron's Talk with Flea, saying Jay's still out here making shady moves, not just in music, but in business too.
I knew what old boy was doing, right, with the Super Bowl, because he was doing like
go ahead.
He was doing some wild, okay, because he was saying that to Eminem that the NFL had the issue with me, and I'm like, well, what's the issue? Why don't I have an issue when I'm becoming a partner in the actual team, but they got an issue with my performance? Right? Makes no sense. You know what I mean?
I was going to get to that later, but since we're here now. And when he says "oh boy" for the audience that knows, I'm talking about Jay-Z. This was discussed before. Jay-Z told Dr. Dre, just for people who's not up on this, or Eminem, that he didn't want you to perform part of that Super Bowl they had a couple years ago. Why do you think that is?
Well, I just
threatened.
Possibly. Not even threatened. You know, I think it's just when you take the competition from, like, our culture is competitive, man. It is, but I think when it goes past the music itself to blocking things in business, then I don't understand that. Like right now, he's not even competing for a slot. You don't have a new song out that he want to be on the top 10 or top 5, and you still competing. It just don't make sense. Like, what are we competing for? What's the goal? Like this even, like, a lot of the even a lot of the competitive stuff, or what we would call it beef, right? And it changed. That terminology changed when it's Biggie and Tupac, because we start saying the things that people would say that cause beef in the environment. When before that, they called it battling in our culture. Right. Because that's what it is until it turns into some. So when you're not competing for those things anymore, and you start looking and you're going, so what was the problem? You can't exactly remember what the problem was. That's what I went through with Joe.
So as you can tell, Beanie Sigel's story isn't the only one. Jay-Z's track record shows he's been leaving people in the dust for years. It's like anyone who helped him climb to the top seems to have their own story of being betrayed. But what do y'all think? Does Beanie have a reason to feel played by Jay? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't miss out on this next video.